Okay, so here we are with our brake system, Project Kart brake system update. What I found shopping last night was really not good. I can't find the brake hose to try to found the rebuild parts, the seals for the CRG caliper that we don't know, even with new parts, if it'll hold a bleed. This is pretty straightforward, right? I mean, it's got the nut ends on it, not the banjo bolt ends like this here. And like the brake system that's on, that we bought from Joe that we put on the cart, it has the banjo bolts. I can't find this piece. I can find this with banjos on the end, but not another piece. So I'm going to take this off, take a picture of it, and put it on Facebook and see if anybody knows where to get this kind of stuff. We've got more problems. So right now I can't find this hose. So rebuilding that doesn't make any sense if we can't plumb it up. Now, I'll run you through the caliper that came with this system, thinking, well, we'll just make a spacer, right? Like the old Brembo set we've got here from Bob Cole. Thanks, Bob. This one and this one are identical. But you see, this one has a spacer for a wider rotor. See the aluminum there, right? So it'll accept the wider rotor instead of the straight flat disc like this one. So this has already been modified like I was thinking about doing with this here. Right, with this here, we've got the little O-ring that goes here. Let me turn on some more. I should get some more light going in here, man. Hang on, let's turn on Big Daddy. Oh, look out. All right, so wow, I got a flash. So it's got the O-ring that sits in the recess there and seals this up so the fluid can go side to side. It's only on one end, so we'd only have to make a piece of aluminum. This has already got an O-ring, so we make the aluminum and then put the recess in the top side and put another O-ring there, and it'll seal up, and that'll get us to the using this rotor, right, to this rotor size, which will solve all of our problems, right? Because we got the brake line. We'd have to take the axle off and swap out the brake mount from the old CRG to the newer model, which I think is a Ven 04, looking into this stuff. And it's a KF brake system. It's not a KZ system because the rotors are so thin. And the brake calipers are actually pretty small compared to standard KZ stuff. But, I mean, it's more than enough for what we're going to do, what we're doing with it. Road racing, you don't go wide open throttle and then have a 180 where you literally got to stop and turn and come back. Sprint racing, I imagine you probably need those vented brakes, right? Vented cast iron rotors and stuff. Road racing, I don't think you do. I mean, I don't remember out there at Grattan in Joe's cart using a heck of a lot of brakes, to be honest. So, what's wrong with what you wanted to do, spacing this thing out and making it work? Well, nothing really, other than I took a file and hit the top of these so you could see they should look like this, right? What that is it encapsulates and holds the brake pad. When the rotor's spinning and you stab the brakes, that pad's going to want to move, right? Well, it's got the body of the caliper, but the bottom, looks like the bottom of it has been blown out in 3 different spots. Both sides here, just one side here, and of course those are the bottom. This thing sits this way toward the front of the cart, right? So it would sit this way. So this is the leading edge of the pad, and you can tell because the pad is worn pretty good. Much more at the end than it is where my fingers are at. And that is also you know, telltale of the direction the rotor is spinning this way. It grabs and it wants to pull. I think for what we're doing, just to get it on the track and go, I think this is going to be the way to go. I pulled out the Brembo set that Bob Cole gave me. We were both trying to buy this set. It had a set of Paul Martin front brake hubs and rotors, the bird cage looking Paul Martin stuff. And Bob was only buying it, I guess, for that for those hubs. They're $250 a piece now, and they only make them every 3 years. So he gave me the rest of the brake system. He said, I didn't want all this, I just wanted the hubs. So he knew I was trying to bid on it, and he got to it before I did. Now, I don't know if any of this stuff is metric, Brembo metric fittings, but I can find out real quick. The English and metric are very, 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 very close. Metric is a little smaller than the English equivalent, right? So, which would, for us would be, this is going to be, in English, that's 1/8" pipe, right? Metric, I'm not sure what the metric number is, whatever, 6, 8, 10 millimeter, whatever. But, what I can do is when I take this hose off of this master to take pictures, just to have a backup plan. I can take the fitting out and try to screw it into there and see if it screws right in or if it's sloppy. If it won't go in, then that means that's English, because we know this is metric. So that's your Blue Demon CRG update. I was flipping through Facebook after church this afternoon, and some guy said, hey, look at this, I bought a Praga with a Honda on it. You know, some guy doesn't know nothing about go-karts. He's just ripping it up and down the street and what have you. And he said, boy, am I glad I didn't buy that vintage cart, the vintage shifter cart that you guys talked me out of it. And the guy said he wanted to upgrade or update something. He said, listen, you're better off just buying the newer cart, spending the money and buying the newer cart that's already done, than trying to buy stuff like this and do what I'm doing, because it's nickel and diamond me to death. This one not so much just yet, but you know, it was $325 for this brake system. I traded Joe track time in April for a day. That's $225. So I paid $225 for his track day and gave him $100. And these rotors, this rotor right here, I think at CKS, no, at Mondo Kart is €158 just for one of these. So to put new pads and rotors on this go-kart is going to cost more than it's worth. Literally, it's going to cost more than I spent on the go-kart. So sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug, folks. You know, Larry's cart is going to nickel and dime me to death as well, but it is what it is. This one and that one, once they're done, those would be the two carts that me and my brothers play with on track days. Those would be the ones we take to track days and go screw around with and play around with. We're not competitive at all at any point. We've got the Yamaha Enduro, which I could take the motor and clutch off, pull all the brakes off it, and throw the chassis away, because it's really it isn't good for nothing anymore. It's not competitive. Especially in the Yamaha class, those parts and pieces are worth more than than I could get for the whole go-kart. So we're going to start dumping some things that we know we don't want and don't want to use and don't want to keep around, and we'll spend the money on the stuff that we want to get built. So that's it for 4.1 or part 4B. We're struggling, but we're gonna keep our nose to the grindstone. Like I said, I think we're just gonna make up a little spacer here and try to get, you know, for top and bottom, but one with a pass through and another O-ring, and see if we can get it put together and get it to bleed and hold pressure and not leak there. And I think that'll do us to get us to the track and get this cart shook down, and we can just deal with what we got from there. So Hang in there, y'all. It'll get better. Trust me, I'm saying that for a reason. It's going to get better. June's coming. We got to get this thing running so I can have a good time along with the rest of you. Godspeed. God bless y'all.